Welcome, this space is escape from your miseries. Lower the volume just enough that you have to focus. Good. Let the room fade a little. You're not here to be impressed. You're here to listen. Tonight's story isn't about love. It isn't about attraction. It's about control. About what happens when a woman understands that cruelty doesn't need force, only clarity, that dominance doesn't need violence, only certainty. Her name was Elena Voss. And this is how she learned to let men give themselves away slowly, willingly, without ever being asked. Elena was 43, divorced, deliberate, uninterested in forgiveness or reassurance. She had already learned that kindness invited negotiation and negotiation weakened authority. Restraint ended it. She dressed with precision, not to seduce, to declare. Tailored jackets that sharpened her posture, skirts that limited movement on purpose, heels that never hurried, never apologized. Everything about her suggested control. Over time, over space, over herself, people mistook her stillness for patience. It wasn't. It was evaluation. She didn't rush because she didn't need to. The world adjusted around her pace. The office learned quickly. Meetings shortened. Voices softened. Confidence evaporated in her presence. She never announced authority. She assumed it. And assumption, Elena knew, was difficult to challenge without embarrassment, without exposure. Two men began to orbit her attention. Daniel, young, ambitious, desperate to matter, still forming, still malleable. Marcus, older, experienced, quietly afraid of becoming unnecessary, already cracked, already aware. Elena didn't choose between them, she placed them. Daniel stayed late because it felt necessary, because visibility felt important, because leaving before her felt like failure. But when Elena stopped at his desk one night, his body reacted before his mind. "You're still here," she said. Not impressed, not pleased, just observing. Daniel straightened too fast, as if caught doing something intimate. She watched the movement, noted it. She let her gaze linger a second longer than required. Then she left. Daniel didn't work after that. He sat there, pulse loud, thoughts scattered, trying to understand why a single sentence felt like approval and judgment at the same time. Coffee followed, quiet conversations that felt private even in public spaces. Elena spoke in observations, never promises. "I notice effort. Discipline gets remembered. Ambition needs direction." Her voice was even, measured. Daniel leaned forward when she spoke, as if proximity might earn him something. Elena leaned back. She always leaned back. He told himself it was attraction. It wasn't. It was positioning. When she invited him over, Daniel rehearsed restraint, rehearsed confidence, rehearsed dignity. He failed immediately. Elena opened the door calm and composed. No warmth. No apology for the silence that followed. Just space, and the expectation that he would step into it correctly. Inside, the apartment was quiet, controlled, minimal, unforgiving, nothing out of place, nothing indulgent. It felt less like a home and more like a private office, one where mistakes were remembered. She didn't touch him at first. She poured a drink, set it down, watched him waiting. She knew softened people. "You're nervous," she said, not kindly, not cruelly, factually. He nodded. She stepped closer, not enough to comfort, just enough to remind him how little room he had. "You want my approval," she said, flat, certain, not a question. Daniel swallowed. She corrected his posture with 2 fingers, lifted his chin slightly, straightened his shoulders. The gesture was calm, controlled, ownership disguised as instruction. She moved him where she wanted him without asking, without explanation. When she pressed him back, it wasn't desire, it was command. Her movements were measured, unemotional, efficient. She gave direction with pressure, with pauses, with stillness. Daniel realized too late that his reactions were irrelevant. This wasn't about pleasure. It was about usefulness, about what he could offer by submitting without resistance. After she adjusted her clothes first, smoothed fabric, corrected a sleeve, she didn't look at him. That omission hurt more than words. Daniel sat still, breathing uneven, aware that whatever he'd imagined he was offering, he'd given more, something internal, something permanent. Elena glanced at him once. "You'll do better at work now," she said, not encouragement, expectation. Daniel nodded immediately. He didn't trust himself to speak. Obedience arrived quietly, settling into him like instinct. At work, Daniel changed. He anticipated her needs before she voiced them, defended decisions he didn't understand, corrected mistakes that weren't his. He stayed late without being asked, arrived early without recognition. When Elena acknowledged him briefly, it felt earned. When she didn't, it felt deserved. Daniel never questioned the shift. Devotion rarely announces itself. Marcus noticed Daniel first. The way he stood straighter, the way he listened harder, the way he deferred without being told. Marcus had once moved like that, years ago, before younger faces arrived, before the fear of becoming invisible, before Elena, when she called him into her office. Marcus smiled out of habit. She didn't return it. "Your recent performance concerns me," she said. She let the silence stretch. Marcus filled it with explanations, justifications, history. She waited. "I can help," Elena said finally, "but loyalty matters." The word settled heavily between them. Marcus nodded before his pride intervened. The meeting ended politely. Marcus left unsettled, already aware that something had shifted without his consent. They met off-site, neutral space, no witnesses. Elena arrived composed. Marcus arrived prepared, and still failed. She didn't touch him immediately. She spoke. "You're afraid of becoming irrelevant. You value discretion. I value compliance." Each sentence landed softly and stayed. She removed her jacket slowly, placed it aside with care, watched him wait for permission that never came. "Don't rush," she said, cold, controlled. When she guided him back, her movements were deliberate, not urgent, not generous. She set the pace. She set the silence. She corrected him when he moved too quickly, paused him when he hesitated. Marcus followed because stopping was never presented as an option. After she fixed herself first, Marcus remained seated longer than necessary, heart racing, thoughts disordered, aware that something permanent had just been agreed to without contracts or witnesses. Elena paused at the door. "Be careful tomorrow," she said. "You don't want attention." Marcus understood. Marcus returned grateful, careful, quiet. Daniel returned devoted, alert, eager. Elena returned unchanged. She walked the office floor with both men aware of their place. Not owned, selected. And that is how Elena Voss ruled. Not loudly, not publicly, but by understanding exactly where desire meets fear and standing calmly there. Now, take a breath. Let your body soften. Nothing else needs imagining. The power was never in the axe. It was in what followed. I'll be here when you're ready for the next one. Until then, rest.